You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Snap didn't work. Locked On Cougs here. Parker Ainsworth. Fingers too slippery to snap, apparently. But we're here to talk about some updates in the 2026 class recruiting. Because we mentioned in last segment, the class 2 segments ago, 2025, it was a big deal for Houston. And that they're setting up their roster. But as we mentioned here, just on graduation, right? You're going to lose Uzan, Sacco, Sharp, and Ramon Walker at the end of the season. Could Jojo Tugger go pro? Potentially. Could Chris Sinak go pro? Most people seem to think so. You're going to have a lot of spots to add in the class 2026. And so who Houston's looking at in this class is really, really important. The big news are two different big men. Arafan Diane, a guy we've talked about some on the show already. Think about Guinea kid that is 7 foot, listed anywhere between 25 and 300 pounds. I believe it's probably closer to 90 if I'm guessing, but either way, he is playing at Iowa United up in Iowa. Obviously, he's at a prep school up there. Sampson and them visited him in person. He came for an unofficial last week, and after his unofficial visit, he set dates for his official visits and put Houston last. That's important as you're seeing these because A, he is setting a trip to come back to Houston after having just been to Houston. And he's setting it last, as in, hey, last word, right? And I think that that's a good sign for the Cougs. It's obviously nothing is done, and even a commitment would not mean that anything is set in stone until he signs on the dotted line. But Arafan Diane has talked about some this month, I guess in the last month. It was in July. He is he's coming to Houston for a visit later this fall. Other guy that is key to keep an eye on here is Davion Adkins from a little closer to home. He's a DFW kid. He's been an Oak Cliff Faith Family, a big time academy type program in South Dallas. Adkins is 6'8", and he's definitely a power forward, but a very versatile power forward. He can't quite go play the 3, I don't think, or a wing, but he's a very versatile, athletic, and crazy high motor kind of kid at the power forward spot. He played for Southern Assault, I believe, in the three-stripe circuit, which is a big-time Adidas team in the DFW area. He is going to be transferring to Prolific Prep, which I believe is actually in Florida now. I keep wanting to think of it as California, but it's in Florida now. And it's funny, he's going to Prolific Prep as Oak Cliff Faith Family is actually making the EYBL Scholastic Circuit, if you hear about any of that. But David Adkins, put out a top 6. Houston is in it. There are a lot of people think Houston is a favorite. He fits the mold of the classic Kelvin Sampson, 6'7", 6'8", big man that is just so athletic. He can do a lot of things to make up for being 6'8", not 7 feet tall, right? And Adkins, I think, is also a power forward, so I think that helps change what his projections would be like. Adkins is the high-end 4-star. At one point, he was the number one kid in the state of Texas in this class. I think that shifted around some. I don't think it's anything to do with him, though. I think it's more about other people growing, changing, whatever, right? But Adkins is really, really talented kid at DFW, and he's going to be playing with Prolific, and he's got Houston in his top 6. Something to keep an eye on there. Now, as far as other guys to hear about, 4-star wing Anthony Felici, the kid out of Utah, I have not heard as much about. He goes to prep school in Utah, actually. I think he's from Vegas. Haven't heard as much about him. Houston did go watch him and the Utah prep team, Utah Prospects AAU team, play a lot at the Nike circuits over the summer, the Summit, Peach Jam, etc. His offer list continues to grow. Hasn't put out a top whatever yet, but I have not heard him tied to Houston quite as much lately. Doesn't mean it's off the table, right? He's a great wing, really dynamic scorer. Played with Eddie DeMonta last year, so it's hard not to watch DeMonta when you watch his high school film, but you got me. Christian Collins was a 5-star guy that he got that 5th star, feels like at a very quickly, very sudden riser in the early part of the AAU season this year, playing with Russell Westbrook's team. Why not at Southern California? Christian Collins is a Southern California kid, 6'6" wing. Crazy summer. I mean, really, really good summer for him. And athletic as all get out. There were some games he had like 6 points, but great defensive game. some games that had like 18 points and no one on the floor could keep up with him, right? It looks like he's going to end up at USC. I think what people are projecting him as a kid that wants to stay close to home. I think that's fair. It's hard to ever knock a kid for that, right? But again, he is a 5-star with the Houston offer. You want to keep an eye on. The wing I think I'm keeping my eye on is Bryson Howard. I know the staff is really high on Bryson Howard. He's a top-tier prospect from Frisco, Texas. His father's Josh Howard, played in the NBA for a minute, and it was University of North Texas at Dallas. I believe is where Josh Howard, the former NBA player, and Bryson Howard's father's coaching. So Bryson's going to be in the DFW area. But I said to say that I think that the native Texan is really high on Houston as well. 6'6", 6'7", super athletic wing. But the thing that catapulted him to like a high-end 4, even some people talk about him getting that 5th star soon, guys, a prospect, is throughout the EYBL season, he shot over 45% from 3. As an NBA son of an NBA player, athletic level, 6'6" wing. He's a guy. Like he's an NBA caliber looking guy. Speaking of son of NBA players, you might have heard of this guy named Olajuwon. That Olajuwon. His son, Aziz, got a Houston offer over the summer. We talked about a little bit on the show about the, making sure we're appropriate with the expectations. Aziz is not a Keem. It's not a fair comp to make by any stretch. Aziz himself is a 6'6" guy. He's kind of more of a stretch 4 perimeter guy. They're very different basketball players. But, high motor basketball players, but very different basketball players. Aziz did get the Houston offer over the summer. The big news there is that he has scheduled an official visit to Houston. He's obviously been on campus informally a lot of times with his father doing, alumni things that his father would be doing. But he has scheduled a visit. He's up to 5 official visits. I believe I saw Houston last in the 5. But given his familiarity with the program, I don't know how much stock I'd put into that. Whereas with Arafan Diane, I'd put a lot of stock into that, right? Another like high riser this summer, I mentioned Howard, Aziz, these guys are just like shooting up charts, and Houston got on them relatively early. Ralph Scott added a 4th star recently. Ralph Scott played at IMG. He's since transferred. He played with Jamal Shed AAU team, which switched to Adidas. If your guy looks up stats and didn't know where the Jamal Shed AAU team was, and didn't know that Ralph Scott played with them, because that was me. I got that one wrong. That was embarrassing. But Ralph Scott played with Jamal Shed's group on the Adidas circuit this summer. They were on the Puma circuit a year ago, and so when I couldn't find him on the Puma circuit, I thought something happened. Anyway, Ralph Scott is a 6'8" guy that has really shot up charts, I think, because his game has moved out closer to the perimeter. And as his game moved out to the perimeter, got the high motor, got the big frame, got the long arms. He's shooting up recruiting charts, raking in Division offers in the last month, and deservedly so. You don't move your game to the perimeter without any work, right? I mean, just really, really impressive skill set the kids worked on. Love the motor, great hands and passing lanes kind of kids. Houston's still in on him. A couple of guards Houston's in on. Cam Lomax, North Texas kid. Houston's been on him for a minute now. He is going to head to Oak Cliff Faith Family, that same prep school we opened with talking about. He is a Frisco kid originally, and he's really great at always, like, he controls the pace of a basketball game so well, guys, like so well. Really like Cam Lomax's game. He's a 4-star kid, had to get some of the pro skills. He's signed Houston signed him. The other guard is Kenny Alozier. Ikenna Alozie. I'm going to get that right. And when you commit to Houston, we're going to really get it right. Ikenna Alozie, he's a like 5-star guard in the class 2026 that I think could truthfully pick wherever he wants to go. He is a 6'2", 185-pound, like defensive-minded point guard. And I don't mean this to like make it unfair. He feels like Jamal Shed. Like he feels like a guy that like plays defense first. Everything else follows, and the dude just wants to win. Right now, that's a really unfair comp in a lot of ways. We'll continue to digest this as it goes throughout, but guy is really, really good. Would be a great fit with Houston as a defensive first point guard. Feels like Houston and Alozie have a connection that just doesn't go away. National pundits want to put him at Kentucky or Duke or whatever, and it feels like there's a Houston connection that just hasn't gone away. And I hate to be the guy that's reading too much into that, but I'm kind of reading something into that. So I just am. Now, there's other people on this, like Junior County, Wasatch Academy, Utah Prospects. He put out a top 6. That's kind of the inverse. That connection did go away. His top 6 doesn't have Houston on it. Doesn't mean they're necessarily completely out. We've seen weirder things happen, but I wouldn't be putting my money on it necessarily. So we'll see. Now, as more unfolds, we'll be here at Locked On Cougs, break it down, obviously. We're going to wrap the show with something a little bit different today. Trivia time. If you made it this far in the show, tell us in the comments down below how many coaches for University of Houston Cougar basketball. Trivia question today. We'll ask a question today, give the answer tomorrow. So, trivia question. How many coaches in Houston Cougar basketball history have more than 100 wins as a Houston Cougar basketball coach? And bonus points if you can name each of them. How many coaches more than 100 wins in Houston Cougar basketball history as a Houston Cougar? And can you name each of them? We'll answer the question tomorrow. I'll ask you another one here at the end of the show. Locked On Cougs. Remember, the Locked On Podcast Network is your team every day. Go Cougs.